Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Title Tuesdays. We're gonna go back and check with the team, see what they're working on today. Let's get a good topic for you. Come on with me. Today we're gonna check with our operations manager, Tracy. We're gonna see what she's working on today. We'll see if we can get a good topic. Hey Tracy. Hi. So we're filming Title Tuesdays today. We just wanted to see what are you working on. Let's see if we can get a good topic for today's story.
Right now, I'm sending out a wire for a closing.
Oh, that's a good one. I like wire transfers. Let's go into the conference room. We're going to talk a little bit about wire transfers, why they're so important in a real estate closing, and most importantly, how you can watch out for wire fraud. Come on, let's go. So my name's Kevin Tacher, the founder and CEO of Independence Title, right here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And we are known as the premier title company here in South Florida for many, many reasons. And today's topic will actually confirm this more so than some of the other topics. So today we're going to talk about wire transfers. You just heard Tracy, who's my operations manager. She's been with me 15 years, and she's been funding transactions for many, many, many years. We've been funding transactions since the day where we used to accept personal checks and certified checks for closings. Those days are over. Personal checks are absolutely not accepted to bring in money for closing. Maybe if you're putting your initial deposit in, we can actually take the personal check. But when it comes to closings, wire transfers are the safest and most important way to receive money when you're doing a real estate closing. That's not solely true anymore. A lot of times wire transfers we deal with, you hear all this wire fraud. How does wire fraud happen? Well, wire fraud is typically going to happen when there's money changing hands, a title company is getting requests to send money to a client, and then at the last minute, the seller changes the instructions on where they're supposed to go. How does this happen? I'll tell you how it happens. It happens because a lot of times the realtors or the sellers are clicking on some type of link on a website or an email, their email gets hacked, and these hackers find an email chain of a closing that's taking place. They set up phony bank accounts, they send those new instructions over to the title company, asking them, oh, I had a change in my account information. Can you please send the money here? And then before you know it, the money is lost. So what can you do? What can you do as a consumer? What can you do as a realtor to make sure you're not putting your client in jeopardy? Because that's what we're here to talk about. Because wire transfers are still one of the safest ways to transmit money. When we're sending money, regardless of where it's going, the best way is via wire transfer. But it's only if proper measures are in place. So first you need to check the type of email you're using. If you're using an email like Gmail, Yahoo, AOL, any of those generic email services, you need to be very, very careful. Okay, you need to make sure that the proper measures, security measures are in place. So you need to make sure you have sometimes double authentication. So when you sign into your email, sometimes it'll send a code. With our office, you have to sign into your email from your actual computer, and you have to put in a code that they text you to get access. That makes sure that just in case one of our staff members clicked on some link somewhere, you could not get access to the email system if you knew the password from anywhere, because just having the password isn't it. So you should be doing the same. As a real estate agent, you should be using some type of double authentication. You should be using antivirus software. You should be using encrypted email. All of these new changes in the industry, when we're talking about TRID changes and consumer protection, they all have to do with protecting the consumer. And we got so much pullback from real estate agents, from attorneys, from other title companies, from lenders. Nobody liked TRID. Well, us at Independence Title, remember I said we were the premier title company. We were teaching TRID before TRID was even in effect. We were set up for TRID 3 months before TRID was even put into place. And it's all about consumer protection. I love TRID. So many people dislike it because it causes more work for them as the title company, but it's better consumer protection. It means it's protecting you as the consumer, whether it's the buyer or the seller. It's protecting you as the realtor for you representing your clients. So it's better for everybody. Are there some things that we should change with it? Absolutely, but that's with any new guidelines that go into place. The most important part, absolute consumer protection. We get our money days before closing. We get our closing instructions days before closing. So when we're talking about wire transfers and we're talking about money fraud and we're talking about all of these things that you see in the news every single day, there are certain practices as professionals that we can take. Even if you're a buyer or a seller, wouldn't you want to make sure your largest investment is protected? As you as a buyer, would you want to wire money to a title company and then find out it was actually a hacked email and it wasn't the title company you sent the money to? The story was just on Help Me Howard on the news, where the client did exactly that. The buyer wired the money for a condo they were buying, but the wire information wasn't actually the title company. The email was hacked. They sent phony wiring instructions, and all of a sudden this buyer, who thought he was wiring his money to a title company, wasn't really wiring it to the title company. Now go back to what we talked about on the last episode, which was our NBC fraud story. Same thing. Here we had a fraudulent seller who provided wiring instructions to send it to when he really wasn't the owner of the property. So fraud is happening every day in our industry. And the problem is it's sometimes too small for the FBI and sometimes too big for your local police jurisdiction. So the problem is there's nobody to represent you. Very important. Choose a title company that you know, like, and trust. That's number one. Second thing, when you're dealing with email and you're transmitting protected information, proprietary information via email, you should always use some type of encrypted email. So our emails, when we're sending documents, will go out with a password protection. It'll be an encrypted link that you have to click on, use a password, log in, and view the documents. Again, very, very important. If you're using some of these services like AOL, Gmail, Hotmail, make sure you use some type of third-party authentication with them, where you have to put your password in and then put some type of code that may be sent to you via text or phone. Again, very, very important. And sometimes it'll also let you know where you've been logged in from, right? So this way, if somebody logs into your service, you'll know that it was logged in from somewhere else. I constantly get emails every single day, spam emails, whether they go into my spam filter or they don't, of people's emails that are hacked. And the first thing I do is I call them. Hey, do you know your email was hacked? Because you just sent me a link to click on, which is a virus. That virus is now going to take over my computer. That's a big thing. You're getting Dropbox links and links from other people in the industry. It could be your real estate agent sending you a Dropbox link to a contract, but it's not really the contract. It's actually a virus link that will now infect your computer. So you need to be in the know. You need to know how to protect yourself from email fraud, because you do not want to be a victim of email fraud. And finally, my last tip is make sure you're dealing with a title company that has cyber protection. Errors and omissions insurance, fidelity bond insurance, surety bond insurance are all great. But the largest issue in today's real estate market is cyber fraud. So if you're dealing with a title company or you're dealing with a real estate attorney that cannot provide a certificate of insurance for cyber liability, total separate policy to most errors and omissions insurances, you need to make sure they're protected, because if something happens and your money is lost, I guarantee that title company is not going to be able to cough up all of that money lost, and most likely they won't be able to recover it. So by dealing with someone you know, like, and trust, by making sure you have third-party authentication for your email services, to make sure you're not clicking on random links that you may think could be right, call and verify. Ask the realtor, did you just send me this link? Did you send me something to click on and open? Before you click on any links, be in the know. And finally, my tip that I said is make sure whoever you're dealing with, whether it's a real estate company, a real estate attorney, or a real estate title company doing your closing, ask the question, do you have a cyber liability policy? And can you please send me your certificate? Because if they can't, you want to watch out, because regardless of who caused the issue, you as the buyer could be out the money if you wire it to someone that is not the title company, and you as the seller could be out if all of a sudden your money is wired to you and it's actually a fraudulent account, not owned by you. Be very, very careful. It's the #1 issue we're seeing now, cyber liability. Very, very big problem in the industry. So I thank you for taking the time. Subscribe to more videos. I hope you learned something today that will hopefully save you from losing money later on in your next real estate closing. Again, my name is Kevin Tacher, the founder and CEO of Independence Title. Please subscribe below to future videos, and I look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Title Tuesdays. Have a great day.